I should probably have the mic unmuted so you guys could hear me. How's everybody doing this evening? I think I got the bitrate issue. It wasn't a bitrate issue. It was a keyframe issue or something like that. The audio stream's current bitrate 0 is lower than the recommended bitrate. We recommend that you use an audio stream bitrate of 128 kbps. I have no idea what that means. Sure, that's fine. Um, Decent. I'm glad to hear that. Uh, Sahuagin won, and yes, that is evidently how you say it. There's lots of people that have strong feelings about that. Oh wait, I need. Oh, desktop audio is on. Okay. There was a Reddit poll evidently years ago. Sahuagin lost the vote versus Sahuagin, but I believe it was. I think D&D Beyond put out a video with Matt Mercer speaking or saying the correct pronunciations of a bunch of different creatures. I don't. Nah, I don't know. I vaguely recall seeing it a couple years ago where he. I think it was D&D Beyond where he went through and was pronouncing a bunch of different creatures and locations in the Forgotten Realms. And best I can tell, Sahuagin or Sahuagin, however you want to say it, originated in D&D, which that I did not know. Originally called sea devils, which strangely enough is what Pathfinder has come to call them now after trying to get away from the OGL crisis that happened in what 2024, beginning of 2024. So let's. I know less about. So the first time I ever saw one, it was actually I was watching this. It's an anime called Log Horizon, which at least the first season was very good. Uh, but this is what they looked like in the anime. They're just fish goblin things, fish people, whatever you want to call it. But these were my first interaction with seeing them. Oh, the animation studio changed. Is that what happened? The I don't know what it was, but it wasn't like the anime, at least for me. It seemed like the story just took really weird turns. Like it became less about the people and the game and more about some weird we've got to go to the moon, which happened in more recently in Doctor Stone also, which I don't know. I feel like you're getting too much sci-fi in my fantasy animes. Knock it off. Although in fairness, I felt that way about Warcraft when they started adding uh, the Burning Legion. So there's that. But Sahuagin, wait, Sahuagin. Uh, Okay. Well, in the Forgotten Realms wiki, they say Sahuagin, but Sahuagin always bothered me because it sounded weird, and they're like, "This is the correct way to say it," and I'm like, "That sounds bad." But yeah, here's a bigger picture of this fella. This is fifth edition D&Ds. They can come in 2-arm or 4-arm varieties. This is a Sahuagin Baron. I guess the ones with more arms have a higher status. Fish-like monstrous humanoid species that lives in oceans, seas, underground lakes, and underwater caves. Although the correct term to address them as a race was Sahuagin, those that fear or despise them have called them sea devils, or even more derisively, fish heads. There you go. If you need your fantasy racism, call Sahuagin fish heads. Uh, Description: Sahuagin are usually green skinned, darker on the back and lighter on the belly, which makes sense. Sharks are usually the same way, and I believe they worship a shark god. Yes, I know. I know you love your fantasy racism. Swagan were highly fish-like and webbed feet and hands, gills, and fin tail. There was additional webbing down the back at the elbows, and notably also where human ears would be. Some Swagan developed towering physiques reaching 9 feet. Oh, dang, that's tall. The larger beings usually rose to higher positions as the savage nature of the Swagan enables challenges to the death or higher status. Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, Satellite Studios did first season, second season, and third by Dean. I don't think I've ever heard of Dean. Also, fun fact: original author got caught for tax evasion for a time, hence the gap between 2 and 3. Well, I don't know what it was in. I don't know it. Season, I think season 3 started being weird because they introduced like the main protagonist's like alt character that also existed on the like on a beta server or something like that. But I don't know. It got real weird. It definitely felt like a jumping the shark. Hey, jumping a shark moment where they started introducing just weird stuff. Mutations about one in every 216. That is really specific. 216 hatchlings possessed 4 functional arms known as barons. These 4-arm mutations were often black, fading to gray in color, while Sahuagin usually killed off defective hatchlings. They allowed these to live. If a Sahuagin abode was near a sea elf community or was frequently visited by a sea elf, a strange mutation occurred within the Sahuagin clan. About 1 in every 100 hatchlings appeared to look like a sea elf with greenish silver skin and green or blue hair. These mutants were called Malenti. Malenti were shunned by the clan as a whole, but were protected by the clan's ruler and raised as spies by the clan's best warriors and priestesses. That's not something that made it into 5th edition. They looked like sea elves, occasionally infiltrated sea elf societies, usually for nefarious purposes. The word Malenti meant changeling. Oh, okay. In Elvish dialect, in Sahuagin, it literally was ugly one. A term Sahuagin used among themselves and not directly to a Malenti. Okay. Wait, 5e? Oh, that's 5e statistics. Did they get added to 5th edition, just not art? Because this looks like older edition art. Dean's done. I'm a noble on the brink of ruin, so I might as well try mastering magic. Was one you've mentioned before. I I think I've seen that one. Yeah. Um, I vaguely remember that one. At least the title. If I saw a picture of it, I'd probably remember what it was. So that's interesting. Malenti, so they can end up looking like sea elves. That that would be a cool player option. Okay. Mutations. Actually, what do you guys think about maybe sometime instead of just Monster Mash, maybe doing another stream for like player option stuff? Homebrewing some player options. Because a lot of this is DM facing with the monsters. How would you guys feel about doing some player options sometime? Combat. Savage Fighters, Sahuagin asked for and gave no quarter, not even to children or babies. They had wide and powerful jaws filled with long, sharp fangs, which are often used in battle. When swimming, a Sahuagin tore with its feet or hands, striking with its talons or a weapon. Spears and tridents were their favorite weapons, which often coated in a poison they prepared. Okay. So, let's go ahead and add some stuff. So, oh wait. Uh, bu- 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 Normal, not bolded, and so they use poison, claws, fangs, spears, tridents. No, I'm gonna add harpoons on here just for fun because they're basically throwing spears. Player options would be cool. Okay, cool. I will look at what best way to like structure that and probably put a poll out about that. Oh wait. They excelled in physical prowess. They greatly feared magic. Okay, so probably less on the magic side. So they never tried developing or studying it for any purposes. Only priestesses of Sekola used clerical magic granted by the god, and even that magic was regarded with fear and as a necessary evil. So divine magic only. Society. Sahuagin were the natural enemies of aquatic elves and lizard folk. Okay, don't like lizard folk either. That's kind of cool. Where were they? Could not coexist peacefully, and wars between them were often prolonged, bloody affairs that occasionally even interfered with shipping and maritime trade. Sahuagin tolerated the lizard folk much more than they did the elves. Sahuagin had only slightly less hatred for Tritons. Exactly why the two races hate each other so much is unknown. Okay, so basically they like we need them to hate somebody. Why? We'll figure it out later. They often raided Urian villages, considering them a delicacy. Okay, I don't know what those are. The heck is that? Crabmen? There's crabmen in D&D and they didn't bring them to 5th edition? What is Wizards of the Coast doing? Crab people. Look like crab, taste like people. Come on. All right. Well, a ball was dropped. I think we can all agree on that. Wizards not making good decisions, a shocker. Yeah. Kinda. Sahuagin lived in underwater settlements that also had underground passages and tunnels. Yeah, that makes sense. Each baron ruled over a village, while a prince would dominate 20 villages and a king would govern an entire coastline. Kings would administer cities of several thousands inhabitants, and their palace were always much bigger than any of the other buildings in the area, although they didn't rule. Females had similar hierarchies among teachers, lore keepers, and priestesses. I imagine that's from older editions of D&D that they have since gotten away from using gendered hierarchies as much. Although they still have the Dark Elves, so there's that. They also have a very particular way of keeping lore using what they call singing bundles, conchs and shells supported by bone and sinew. When shaken, they make the clicking and hissing sounds of Sahuagin language. Okay. Multiple births were frequent among Sahuagin, and they dealt very harshly with offspring who were not robust or aggressive enough, eliminating them through compulsory fights to the death between the young. Sahuagin seemed fixated on all aspects of consumption and were eager to weed out anything they saw as weak or unworthy to compete for resources. When going to war, Sahuagin followed a certain protocol called the Laws of Battle. Sometimes, however, a group of the Sea Devils would form a so-called wild hunt, which went on a frenzied rampage, ignoring all rules. Okay. And Sahuagin worshipped Sekola, god of sharks, as their patron deity. This big shark. Okie dokie. Alrighty. And let's look at the... Is there lore stuff on these? On Nethys. Sea Devil Scout. Like I mentioned earlier, Sea Devil, which is, I guess, the racially charged term, is now just what the Pathfinder Second Edition remaster calls Sahuagin, because they wanted to get away from the after the OGL stuff. Scouts among the lowliest and most disposable of the sea devils ply the inky waters of the ocean in search of aquatic prey, tread ashore to gauge landborne threats, or charge into battle with the advance of forces of a greater sea devil war party. Okay, Sea Devil Brute. Physically imposing Sea Devils are equipped with some of the best weaponry the community can find, though most are happy to rend their foes using tooth and nail. And oh, here is the Sea Devil Baron. So the Barons still have the two sets of arms, like in D&D. Unlike in many cultures, the highest ranking Sea Devils are expected not to just wade into battle alongside the brethren, but to actively lead the campaign. Okay. So basically what we can get is... Oh, let's look at... so Blood Frenzy... This is 6, so we're probably going to use the Brute as a base, and then work from there using those numbers. But they have Blood Frenzy also, Bloodletting, Unimpeded Throw, Bloodletting, Hateful Tide... But we're going to use both the Scout and the Baron for inspiration on abilities. Like in previous weeks, we're going to start with Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and then I will transfer over to D&D, because it's easier to go that way than it is to go the other way. HP 60, and I believe... Oh, wait, sorry. No. Clues you may be finding... The party may be coming up against Sahuagin. What would be clawed footprints? Near last location of a missing person. Stuff. Well, that's not as helpful as I was hoping. Oh, hey, I didn't even realize that. It's at the bottom. Sea Devil. Sea Devils are horrid amphibious humanoids who lurk in Galarian's oceans and crawl ashore to steal away victims beneath the veil of darkness. When an entire fishing village disappears overnight, sea devils are the first suspects. Far from mindless monstrosities, sea devils are terribly intelligent, with a cunning limited only by their strict adherence to hierarchy. They call themselves Sahuagin, but have wholly embraced their enemy's name for their kind as their own. Their cultural militancy enables sea devils to act in concert to perform grand acts of sabotage, marauding, and pillaging, and only the strongest and most conniving members of the tribe make it to the top of the social ladder. For all their discipline, however, sea devils are widely known to snap into murderous frenzies at the scent of blood. Even the best laid plans can fall apart when a sea devil breaks ranks to revel in the spilled blood of their victims, an indulgence that can quickly cause a chain reaction of bloodthirsty ecstasy throughout an entire raiding party. For this reason, sea devils typically capture landborne quarry using nets and ropes, dragging them to the depths of the sea before making even a single incision. Among Sea Devil Society, individuals are rewarded based on their performance during hunts and shore excursions. With rebels and outliers quickly culled from the ranks, every pup is given a fair chance, however, and even the lowest born Sea Devil can strive for the rank of commander, general, or perhaps even king or queen. Sea Devils in positions of leadership tend to be among the largest, most violent, and most calculating of their kind, and fully realized Sea Devils are skilled warriors capable of capturing entire villages on their own. The most powerful Sea Devils are mighty kings and queens who coordinate the activity of lesser Sea Devils across territories spanning leagues, foiling attempts at their positions via manufactured blood feuds and wars against their numerous enemies ashore and underwater. Rising deaths of local aqua elves. Yeah. Um, I think whole town going, whole coastal town going missing. Mutant devils, some sea devils prone to mutations, the most common of which is the manifestation of two additional arms. These mutated sea devils almost always rise to power as barons. Other mutations occur as well, but few are as strange as those that result in sea devils who look almost like aquatic elves, save for a row of sharp teeth in their mouths. Sea devil diplomacy. Sea devils dwell in most of the world's oceans, and they view all others as enemies. When alliances occur, they usually take place with singularly powerful allies, such as aquatic dragons, krakens, or powerful humanoid villains. Diplomacy to a sea devil typically consists of violence and warfare. Um. Hmm. Let's see. Uh. Aquatic elf with. They call them seals, or what do they call them? Okay, they call them aquatic elves, I guess. Aquatic elf with uh is it rose almost save for a row of sharp teeth. Hmm. So okay, they have like blood frenzy. Okay, that's not what I wanted. quite a whole course of time going missing. Claude footprints near the last location of a missing person. Um, hmm. Maybe even like bloody Sahuagin parts. Like if they go into a blood frenzy and feed on each other. I don't know. I don't want to do that one only because it's sort of maybe a little too on the nose, and it would give away because these clues are supposed to be like somewhat cryptid. I think somewhat cryptic. I think. All right. So this is the brute, the creature level 4, and that's generally our goal here. HP usually bump this by about 50%. Just at least to start. HP 60, so HP 90. Oh, drag marks on the beach. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. HP resistances. What do they got? I don't. Doesn't look like they have any resistances. Oh, shark commune. Sea Devil can communicate telepathically with sharks in range. It can communicate only simple concepts like come, guard, or attack. Oh yeah. Uh, Rise in shark sightings and or shark attacks. Yeah, guard, it seems, is one of the simple concepts they can communicate to a shark. Resistances. I think cold makes sense as a resistance for them. Cold 5 probably. Yeah. Resistances. They don't naturally have any in here. I think cold is a good resistance for them. Maybe not a lot, maybe 2. Um, I can't really think of resistances, immunities, or vulnerabilities that make sense because they are more humanoid, flesh and blood. Um, what might a weak point they have be? Okay. Okay, I was thinking along similar lines. Okay. Well, Weak points. Head. AC of a brute is 21, so let's bump it by 2 to 23. Um, well, they hit. So what? Okay, let's look at their blood frenzy real quick. The Sea Devil is not fatigued or already in a frenzy. Trigger: the Sea Devil deals bleed damage to a living creature, and they deal the bleed damage when they score a critical hit or if they land an attack against a flat-footed target. Effect: the Sea Devil flies into a frenzy that lasts 1 minute. While frenzied, the Sea Devil gains a +1 status bonus to attack rolls with its claws and jaws. It gains a +4 status bonus to damage rolls with its claws and jaws. Whoo! Gains 11 temporary HP until the end of the frenzy, and takes a -2 status penalty to AC. Okay. Sea Devil can't voluntarily stop its frenzy. After its frenzy, the Sea Devil is fatigued. What does fatigued do? Fatigued, you're tired and can't summon much energy. You have a -1 status penalty to AC and saving throws. You can't use exploration activities. Okay, so it's just -1 to AC and saving throws. Okay. So hmm. So head AC. So what would the weak point serve as? Just extra damage or maybe a condition? Like there's got to be a reason to attempt the like harder target. Oh, I like that. Let's switch it from head to fins. Reduce swim speed by what is their swim speed? Swim speed of 35 feet by 10 feet. Make it normal swim speed. And reduce swim speed by 10 feet. And remove unimpeded throw. Not remove. Lose unimpeded throw until the end of its next turn. Okay. That seems reasonable. I'm assuming the fins help it move around underwater, and its unimpeded throw is ignoring penalties to range due to being underwater. Actually, what is swim? .3D movement. Okay. Attacks, aerial combat, aquatic combat. You're off guard unless you have a swim speed. You gain resistance 5 to acid and fire. -2 circumstance penalty to your attack roll for bludgeoning or slashing attacks that pass through water. Ranged attacks made by an underwater creature or against an underwater feat. Lose unimpeded throw. Okay, so let's do AC 23. Become off guard and lose unimpeded throw. Ranged attacks made by an underwater creature against an underwater target have their range increments halved. -2 circumstance penalty to your attack roll for bludgeoning or slashing attacks that pass through water. I think making them off guard would work. Because it affects. Yeah, you're off guard unless you have a swim speed. So I think damaging the thing they usually rely on for underwater movement reduces their speed, makes them off guard, and hinders their ability to throw weapons underwater. So there is an incentive to go after the harder to hit target. All right, special abilities. Two initiatives, which is pretty standard for us. Trident, the claw, the jaws. Does the Baron? Okay, they just get it. Okay, single melee strike with its claws or jaws against each opponent within reach. Okay. See the brute. All right, so trident, claw, jaws, and then ranged trident. Blood frenzy. I think so. We want a movement ability. So they deal bleeding damage. I think I want to add some poison in there as well. Because they mentioned use of poison, maybe some divine magic. Let's look at some spells. Divine spells, that would make sense. So 4th level, so that's what? 2nd level spells, because 5th level is 3rd level spells. I don't know if we're going to find a ton. Yeah, let's just look at 2nd level spells. Oh, wait, what? Blood Vendetta might be cool. Uh, da, da, da. Nothing really standing out. All right, screw it. Let's look at 3rd level spells because there's literally nothing here. We might just tone it down a little bit. Okay. Um, let's go primal and see what stands out. Oh, those are focus spells. Um, Briny Bolt. Okay, yeah. So I think Primal is going to be more what we're looking for. So Briny Bolt is a maybe. Hydraulic Push is a maybe. Tether might work if we use it as a basis for like a net attack. Elemental Zone, select an element air, so it would be water. Elemental Zone gains the trait you choose. When you imbue the area with raw energy for that element, create a zone that emits and amplifies magic of that type. Temperature might, so get +2 status bonus to 1 damage type spell deal. Oh, okay, nah, not quite. It's more if you're dealing that type often. Okay, nothing really standing out too much there. Oh, Crashing Wave might be good. Okay, so Briny Bolt, Hydraulic Push, and Tether and Crashing Wave. So Crashing Wave is the big one. You summon a Crashing Wave that sweeps away from you. You deal 66 bludgeoning damage to creatures in the area. The water also extinguishes. So it doesn't push them away, it's just damage. Nah. Tether. Use magical chains, vines, or other tethers to bind your target to you. The creature can still try to escape, and it or others can break the tethers by attacking them. Tethers have AC 15, 10 hit points. You must stay within 30 feet of the target while it's tethered. Moving more than 30 feet away from the target ends the spell. The target must attempt a reflex save. Okay. Target takes -5 foot circumstance penalty to its speed as long as it's within 30 feet of you. The target has a -10 foot circumstance penalty to its speed and can't move more than 30 feet away from you until it escapes or the spell ends. The target is immobilized. So I like Tether for as like a basis for maybe using a net attack. Briny Bolt, I think, is just damage. Uh, yeah, Hydraulic Push. You call forth powerful pressurized water that bludgeons the target and knocks it back. Make a ranged spell attack roll. Knockback 10 feet. Success. The target takes 3d6 bludgeoning damage and is knocked back 5 feet. Okay. Hydraulic push. I think hydraulic push and tether are both good options. So let's just go ahead and add. Um, so likely players are already going to be fighting them underwater. And for those of you unfamiliar, drowning is quite drowning and suffocation in Pathfinder Second Edition is significantly more dangerous than in Fifth Edition. Hold your breath a number of rounds equal to 5 plus your constitution modifier. Reduce your remaining air by 1 round at the end of each of your turns, or by 2 if you attacked or cast any spells that turn. So not if you were attacked, if you attacked. You also lose 1 round worth of air each time you are critically hit or critically fail a save against a damaging effect. If you speak, including casting a spell, you lose all remaining air. When you run out of air, you fall unconscious and start suffocating. You can't recover from being unconscious and must attempt a DC 20 Fortitude save at the end of each of your turns. On a failure, you take 1d10 damage, and on a critical failure, you die. On each check after the first, the DC increases by 5 and the damage by 1d10. These increases are cumulative. Once your access to air is restored, you stop suffocating and are no longer unconscious. That's rough. So this is level 4. Players could have access to potions of water breathing or the water breathing spell, but we should keep this at least slightly in mind. If they're going after Sahuagin, they should let them TPK. Okay. All right. So spells, hydraulic push, and tether. What was tether? I think maybe while they're tethered, they should be able to use an action. 1 second. Use an action to athletics. Does that make sense? Because if you're tethered, why wouldn't you just swim up? Because I was thinking, like, they could yank them closer. But if it's one action, why wouldn't they just swim over? I don't know. If they're out of water, maybe you could pull them into water. Okay. Use an action to pull concentrate action oh wait, sustain. Not concentrate. Sustain. Oh, should have the concentrate. Sustain. Action to pull target closer. What do you think? 15 feet on fail. 10 feet success. 25 feet. Okay. Oh, that's the wrong one. I think. Okay. What would be a good bloodied transition for them? Like, what would be a big terrifying thing that? So, the plan, I guess, really is to try and make something like this. It would be a four-armed creature, with more than one trident and access to limited primal magic. So we're working with like a Gish. So maybe like in Pathfinder terms, like a champion of, or like maybe a battle harbinger more of a shark god. Okay. So I think summoning a shark should probably be a recharge ability. Uh, on a 6. Um, maybe. Hmm. Hmm. A strengthened bite attack as jaws become more like a shark. So in their blood frenzy, they get a +1 status bonus to attack rolls with claws and jaws. So if they've hit somebody who is off guard, or they get a critical hit, they will go into their blood frenzy, which gives them +1 to attack rolls, -2 status penalty to AC, and also +4 status bonus to damage rolls. So basically, think of this like your barbarian, because this is essentially rage. It's -2 to AC and then +4 damage. Except these also get a +1 status bonus to attack rolls. So I think drop weapon if they are still holding it. I think. Hmm. So I think they should get a summon shark. Is there shark? Creature family shark. Okay. Goblin shark, great white shark, great white shark. So like leaning into their mutations. Okay, so during the bloody transition, it would mutate. So what would it becoming a sawfish? What would that I guess look like? Well, not necessarily look like. So if its nose turned into a saw, what I guess what strike would that add to them? Mutate. Okay. So give it like an AoE sort of thing. So sort of like what this one had, Hateful Tide. Uh, unleashes a whirlwind of attacks against its foes, making a single melee strike with its claws or jaws against each opponent within reach. Okay, so mutate, grow, nose, turns, the Sahuagin's nose mutates into a long what was it? Sawfish, right? In a single strike against all creatures within 5 feet. Okay, sawfish mutation. Sahuagin's nose mutates into a long sawfish-like appendage and thrashes about, making a single strike against all creatures within 5 feet. Does the sawfish mutation uh so what is the new damage of that? So its jaws are 1d8 plus 6 piercing. Um where is it? GM screen. Game mastering. Creature numbers. Level 4. 2d8 plus 1. Wait, why are the damage numbers seem so low? Oh, right, because it's getting the plus 4. So the highest damage it has is 1d8 plus 8. So maybe give it that. Maybe while it's bloodied, bleeding, targets are off guard. Um, fish. Vintage. All right, so it's 1d8 plus 8 piercing. Uh, so what is the? So this suggests 2d8 plus 5. The average damage is what? 4.59 plus 5 is 14. Whereas the average damage of this is 4.5, so plus 8 is 12.5, plus 4 is 16.5, so that puts it above the suggested 14. Okay. So maybe we'd give it 1d8 plus 8. Also affected by blood frenzy. I think probably the sawtooth thing is slashing. Just because of how I've seen it work before in videos on an actual sawfish. I want to maybe make the blood frenzy more exciting. So actually, yeah, let's blood in the water. Maybe something like a fog cloud or something. Conjure chilly mist. Mist. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Call forth cloud mist. All creatures within the mist become concealed, and all creatures outside the mist become concealed to creatures within it. You can dismiss the cloud. One action on inflicting bleeding on a target. Create this mist spell lasting until the end of the lasting until the end of the bleeding creature's next turn. How long should it last? So blood in the water. So my idea is it causes bleeding, so it then uses an action upon inflicting bleeding. Or maybe it shouldn't use an action. Maybe it should be more like blood frenzy. So free action. Remove recharge, I think maybe. Let's leave it at recharge. Or maybe this should be part of the sawfish mutation. Blood in the water. Gain a status bonus to speed for plus 15 feet when moving towards a target that is bleeding. Um, I kind of want the mist spell. Oh. When critically hitting a target that is bleeding, cast the mist spell, lasting until the end of the bleeding creature's next turn. What do you think of that? So while it is bloodied, bleeding targets are off guard, which will allow it to inflict its bleed more easily. Or allow it to hit more easily. Blood in the water, gain a status bonus to speed plus 15 feet when moving towards a target that is bleeding. When critically hitting a target that is bleeding, cast the mist spell, lasting until the end of the bleeding creature's. Cast the mist spell. Centered on the bleeding, lasting until the end of the bleeding creature's next turn. How's that look so far? What was the health of the rate or the scarecrow crows? Murder of crows. 28 hit points. Okay. I think I want to stick with that for the summon shark. 1 AC 20 hit points. So my idea with the summon shark, 5 or 6. One action. Actually, no, 2 actions. 1 AC, 20 hit points. Used for flanking. One action. No. Command. Nope. Command. Shark. Oh, one action. Shark move or strides. Uh, Nope. Nope. Did I close the shark tab? I think I did. feet. Or bites. And let's just do this. Have it give it the same Jaws attack. Plus 14. 1d8 plus 6. Or 1d8. You know what? No, let's just leave it at 1d8 plus 6 piercing. Actually, no. Blood, frenzy. Bite. What is it? So they get +1 status bonus, so plus 15. And then 1d8 plus 10. Okay, so it's essentially another way for it to use its bite that sort of allows it to be in more than one place. But also, commanding the shark, it allows it to position it for, like, off guard, so for more tactical play. I think that works pretty good. Lair abilities. Any thoughts on lair abilities? Ooh, that could be cool. Undertow. So, well, currently it has a recharge ability to summon a shark that is 2 actions. Well, and well, summon shark, 2 actions. Summon and make 1 shark bite. Okay. I think we should probably stick with sharks because they have more sure because they specifically have like shark commune and stuff like that. Um Nah, I think I don't want to keep summoning things because you've seen how action economy works in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Because we cannot actually add creatures in that have their own actions without destroying the combat and counterbalance. Uh, Lair abilities, Undertow, Forced, movement in a direction uh 1d8. So 1 diagonal so force movement in direction great success, no movement, so reflex save. What? Okay, reflex save for creature that's 4 is 21. Let's make it 19 so it's easier to fight against because it's going to happen every round. DC 19. Uh, 10 feet. Fail. 15 feet. Crit. Fail. 25 feet. Slowed 1. How's that look? And then we're going to do each of the, like, 8 major directions. Two. Up. 3. Up. Right. 4. Right. 5. Actually, let's... no, let's keep it the way it was. 5. Down. Right. 6. Down. 7. Diagonal. Down. Left. 8. That sound good? So every turn, force movement in a direction, reflex save 19. Undertow or Riptide do you think sounds better for this? Actually, what is a Riptide? Riptide. Strong offshore current. Undertow. I think Undertow, I think, is more accurate. Actually, let's add... So, Undertow, force movement in a direction against reflex save 19. Sahuagin is automatically succeeds, but off guard does not automatically critically succeed against Undertow. Okay, so normally the Sahuagin critically succeeds, so it is not moved. But if you damage its fins, it it no longer gets that, and it has to save against the forced movement also. That should be pretty good to shake up the battlefield some. And we gave it extra movement against targets that are bleeding. Anything we didn't really go into poison because I feel like I don't really want to add in more like persistent damage options because stacking persistent damage options seems like it would be rough. Anything that we can think of that would be good to add or that we're maybe overlooking. All right, cool. Recall lore. Easy is it's going to be its weak point. And cold resist. Uh, medium should be blood frenzy. A lure item. What might be a good lure item for them? I can't quite think of anything that should be hard to recall, but we don't necessarily have to have chum. Oh, you know what? Yeah. Should there be a puzzle or item or something? But lore? What do you mean lore for chum? Okay. All right, well, chum I think works for a lure item. Oh no, lure item. This right here, like something to draw out the creature. I think though chum allows Sahuagin to start in blood frenzy. What kind of like magical loot might you get out of this? An aqua elf offering for lure? What? Oh, just have an aquatic elf. I'm not sure that totally works. Simply because they have their like spies that actually go into aquatic elf like cities. Okay, I like the ability to summon sharks. Um, maybe treasure something left on the beach as a lure. What kind of like specific would you think? Ooh, you know what? Why don't we just take their sawfish mutation as the weapon? Sawfish blade. All right, I'm about to do something. Please don't be upset. 1d8 slashing. So it should be so plus one striking. 1d8 slashing. What? They're bleeding, right? What is their bleeding? 1d4 persistent bleed on crit. Critical hit. Conch shell. Um. Okay, we need a name for that. What primal spells? Spells primal. Maybe a conch shell or something. Okay. Oh, what would the conch shell that summons the great white shark? What would that? What would be a good name for that? Maybe like Call of the Sea or something like that. Shark snare. You're not really trapping the shark. Shark shell, maybe? I don't know. Conch shell summons a great white shark. The Shiver Summoner. Really? Sure, I didn't know that was a thing. Let's go with Shimmer Shell. Conch shell summons a great white shark. What were the rules for... Oh, there's Great White Shark. Or maybe that's the one I pulled up earlier. Aquatic combat. Off guard. I like Shiver, honestly. Um, actually, while attuned, gain water breathing and a swim speed equal to your walking speed. Oop. Actually, let's do something wild. Leveled. DC. What's a DC for level 4? 21. So let's do. It goes up by 1. So DC. 21 for save. Stage 1. Gain swim speed equal to walking speed. Stage 2. Grow heals and gain water breathing. Stage 3. Okay. Fascinated by bleeding creatures. How's that sound? It's essentially a cursed weapon. Stage 1. So the first time you fail the save, so curse fort save at each dawn after tuning. Actually, let's switch these two. So stage 1. So each day, if you fail, grow gills and gain water breathing on the first fail. Stage 2, grow fins and gain swim speed equal to your walking speed. And stage 3, you become fascinated by bleeding creatures. DC 25 to Okay. And the Shimmer Shell, Conch Shell summons a great white shark. Well, under your command. Actually, should it be under your command or should it just be to the battlefield? Because technically you're not supposed to be able to summon a great white shark until level 9. Okay, yeah. Okay. I like items like that where it's you bring something out and it might not always go in your favor, but it could really go in your favor. Okay. I think that about covers it. I will tune this over to D&D. Like I said, I'm going to be putting up these episodes, and in the past, the D&D ones haven't favored as well. If that continues, I may just stick with the Pathfinder videos, and if not, I will go back to adding the D&D stuff into these streams as well. Thank you everyone for hopping on and hanging out and helping out. Do these every Friday, 7 p.m. Central U.S. time. And the videos for episode 2 and episode 3 are going up this weekend. Thank you very much. And thank you again. One last thing. Any thoughts on future creatures? I know DeCheat suggested last week golems, more golems, that have been added into the list for things to add. Any other thoughts on future creatures? Sphinx? Okay. Yep, I can add Sphinx to the list. Okay. Sphinx will go on to the list or on the polling options for next week. I'm gonna try to start doing the polling options on Monday morning, so there's more than 24 hours for the voting to happen. I've been kind of shortcutting that, or shortchanging. You know what I'm saying? Not leaving enough time for people to find the poll and vote. So I'm gonna try keeping those up more often, or for longer periods of time. All right. Thank you again. Uh, have a good week. Bye.